I'm Tino Dogo, and I'm running to be the Vice President Community Engagement with my team, Renew UMSU. And I'm studying biological sciences as my major, and I'm minoring in political science. Over the past year or so, I've done a lot of learning about UMSU's operations, and I've learned more about sort of just how UMSU runs overall. And because of this, I have a deeper appreciation of the work that the union does, and I'm looking to continue to contribute to the work of the union. And I have some very exciting policy points along with my team that I really would like to see implemented into the next year. Right. So two things come to mind for sure. And the first one is environmental responsibility. So we've made a dedicated focus to sustainability. And one of the things that we want to do is we're taking this opportunity to make sure that when our operations are back up and running, that the foundation of everything that we're doing is sustainability focused. So I would definitely say that we're taking a very serious role, a very serious look into environmental responsibility as an organization. At least that's our plan. And then another thing is we definitely want to address the aspect where students are not completely familiar with the union, right? So in general and on average, students aren't particularly familiar with how UMSU operates, what UMSU does, and in a few very extreme cases, students completely don't know what UMSU is. So some of our policy is based off of refreshing the feel when you're in UMSU spaces, just so that we have that cohesiveness and connectedness, and just so that students know that they're in an UMSU space, they'll have greater appreciation for their union. So just creating those opportunities for students to interact with their union and also learn more about what we do. So I would say that right now, on campus, the issue of the issue of accessibility is definitely one of the bigger ones. I think to financial accessibility in terms of tuition, I'm anticipating, just with everything that has happened over the past year, that things like provincial funding are probably going to go down, and that typically means that tuition is going up. So definitely accessibility from the financial standpoint, but also accessibility for students with disabilities, right? So the Student Accessibility Center has very high volume of people that need access to these resources. So addressing the issues there with accessibility and seeing how we can work with the university to leverage some of the resources that UMSU has, maybe providing more education for students to know the resources that are available, and then also seeing how we can advocate directly to the university and the province to increase funding. And then that helps on both fronts, right? The disability accessibility front, and then also the financial side of things. Yeah, so I'm actually very optimistic, and I'm hoping that, I'm very optimistic and hoping that winter term is going to look somewhat kind of, with the traffic on campus is going to look good. I understand that it most likely would not be 100%, but I think spending that time that we have between now and when we're back on campus, refreshing the UMSU street atmosphere and just really going back to that point where we focus on updating UMSU spaces. And my team and I, we have a policy point specifically related to the university center. After the fire, unfortunately, most of the space had to just be cleared out completely. So it's really given us this opportunity to think about how do we want to build back. And one of those things that we want to do is give a space for students with startups so that they can showcase some of their businesses, and we'll get those connections going there on the first floor of University Center, a refreshed UMSU street as well, where you have this feel that, of course, you're in the different businesses and all the different businesses have their own vibe, if you will, but definitely making sure that we have that connected feel across all those UMSU spaces. Just say, just hang in there. I think this past year has just stretched us so thin. And there's a concept that I've looked it up, but I don't think it's an actual thing. It's called crisis fatigue. And it sort of is related to healthcare workers who are constantly helping people, and then they get fatigued by the crisis. I think there's definitely elements of that in all of us right now, especially because things tend to be much larger because we're around screens all the time. There's news feeds everywhere, there's social media. So I would just to students, I would say continue taking care of yourselves. I know that it's very challenging. It's been very challenging for myself, for the team as well. But people are here for you. There are plenty of resources, and it's very important to sort of prioritize your mental health. And absolutely, please feel free to reach out. I was talking to one of my friends, and they were like, "Oh, I didn't know if you were approachable." I'm absolutely approachable. Please, if you wanna just DM me or send me a message, absolutely go ahead. And then any one of us really, but there's always people that are available to talk to you. And I personally very, very much enjoy interacting with people. And I'm just happy that I'm still able to do that. So yeah, continue taking care of yourself. Hang in there. You've been doing great so far.